My very brief talk is this is my last of my open house. Then I have another week of work, and I'm trying desperately not to to work this August, like what tomorrow, you know, because I need demonstration in my body that I am valuable even if I don't produce, right? Um, and so for me, being a coach, right? Alongside all of you and everyone else that I work with, I need to just stay a couple of steps ahead. So if I'm like, your value's not connected to work, I need to believe it in my body, right? And so that's what I'm doing. And I just want to be transparent of there's a lot of stuff coming up around that. There's shame, right? There's fear. There's a little bit of excitement and a lot of like, what the heck am I gonna do with my time? So I just want to like put that out there of what would happen if you prioritized your rest or the needs of your body. What would happen? Okay. So whenever I offer a talk, everyone, you don't have to comment on that. Okay. So if you came with something you want to look at, it's welcome here. And what I do is I zoom out and then generalize it to make it relevant to everybody. Does anyone have anything they'd like to look at today? Everyone knows they're valuable, even if they're not working and producing. Hey, congratulations! Work is done.
Okay, I actually have them, but I'm trying to figure out the word. It's just like a thought sits in my head, and then to find the words, it takes a second. But I guess I do have something I want to bring up.
Perfect.
Um, Yesterday, okay, so currently don't have a job, and yesterday I was catching up with an old coworker who used to be my manager, and I had latched onto her years ago because I was like, oh my God, you're the only person in this office who has a personality. And so I like latched onto her because I was like, this is so inspiring. She's like, she loves to dress up and she's just so herself and was like rooted in herself against these like stinky gray cubicles. And I was like, I want to understand how I don't know, I just gravitated towards that. And continued staying in touch. And yesterday we were catching up, and it had been like maybe 5, 6 months since I last caught up with her. And she was asking me like, what's up, what's been going on, et cetera, et cetera. And kind of told her about my last year, and last 2 years. And she kind of stops the conversation and tells me to like pull up my notes app and then write out everything she's about to say. And I'm like, oh God, okay, what am I about to say? And then she's like, okay, verbatim, write down what I am saying. And she gave me the instruction, or she told me she gave me this task where she was like, for the next 30 days, let me pull out the notes actually. There's some profane language in there, because she was like fired up, if that's okay. I don't know.
Anyone who works with me knows I like profanity. Okay. So while you're looking it up, I just want to set the stage here. Okay. Our friend, fellow cycle breaker, is like, I currently do not have a job. Okay. So I just want to like zoom out and go, our society makes us think that the only reason why we're here is to work. Right. So just anyone else, right? You can raise your hand, you can emoji. Okay, go ahead.
Um,
Go ahead.
so this is the note. She goes, today's July 30th, and you, Ravina, are going to take 1 month of August to do not a fucking thing, please. And every time I, Ravina, freak out about the fact that I'm not looking, thinking, wondering about what I'm doing next, I'm going to read the sentence above. No decision, no decisions, no looking, because nothing isn't nothing. Nothing is not nothing. It is intensely something, especially right now where I am. And then, and then goes, all of the last year has had parts of your ego impacted, and it needs a second to just chill the fuck out. So no decisions, no thinking, no looking.
Mm.
Um,
So just pause. Okay. What I interrupt because I'm like, okay, we don't want to get into the story. We want to get into the body, right? Nothing is not nothing. It is intensely something. I want to connect it to something. You are not a tool for productivity. You are something. You are someone. Not to make anything or do anything, but you are here. Wow, I just got chills even thinking about it, right? Because from the beginning of our childhood, what are you going to be when you grow up? I keep being objectified. We keep getting decentered in our body, right? A good question is, what lights you up, right? What brings you joy, right? And a metaphor I like to use sometimes is, what if we're all just different creatures on this planet? Not human. I mean, yes, human, but like, what if some of you are like eagles, like visionaries? Like, what if some of you are like ants and working in, what if some of us are like fish and our job, right? Our job is really to figure out who we are and why we're here. That's the real job. The jobs that we have just help us have money to pay for stuff, right? But our job is actually in our body. What do you feel in your particular body, Ravina?
it just went into a state of panic.
Panic. Where do you feel the panic?
It was like everything froze in my like chest, my heart, my upper arms. It was like, what does this mean?
Good.
Anything or like think about money or think about a job or anything for a month. And it just went into a state of panic. And then I immediately signed up for a half marathon and I was like, I don't know why I just
We all know why, right? It's a similar thing of like, I'll just watch this one episode on Netflix. Let me focus on something that's going to hold me accountable to do something.
Yeah,
Does
yeah.
that make sense? So just land. Okay. Anyone else feel panic when they're not doing something, right? Mine
Maybe.
comes from, what are you doing? Why are you just laying down? Do you have homework to do? Like when I was little, right? So it's just noticing who's driving the bus, Ravina, when you feel that panic.
It's wounded teen.
Mm-hmm. Anybody else?
I'm not sure.
Anyone want to help in the chat?
Maybe.
Wounded child,
Mm.
right? So wounded child is the map maker, right? You're like, who's driving the bus? It doesn't matter. I mean, it does because it helps you figure out how to reparent that part of you. But where you're driving is given to you, the GPS system is given to you by the wounded child. Okay. So there's a belief my value is connected to performance or productivity. Okay. Does that make sense?
Mm.
And your wounded teen is driving you to a marathon. Okay. And then in case the wounded teen is like, I made a terrible mistake, your functional adult connected to light and warmth goes, whoa, 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 whoa. There are no mistakes. There are only decisions with data points, right?
Mm.
So there was something that happened right before you signed up for the marathon, and that is the gold, the panic. What was the panic? If you look at your wounded child, what is she afraid of?
She's afraid of like directionless, not doing something, not chipping away at something. It's this,
That's a belief.
oh,
Yes. But if I'm not chipping away at something, then what?
oh, then I'm kind of like useless.
Then what am I here for? Okay. So if I'm useless, what does that mean about me? What does it, I mean, not me.
Then I'm not like driven and I'm not.
Keep going. child's about inherent safety. So if I'm useless, what will happen to me as a child? What do we do with things that are useless?
Oh, like throw them out that I'm trash or in that way.
So just land.
Um,
If I'm useless, my parents sacrificed everything for me. What if I do not return on their investment?
wait.
Notice what happens in your body.
What did you just say? Sorry.
Oh, if if my parents sacrificed everything for me to exist here on this planet and I'm useless, what does that mean? Right? Does that make sense?
Mm.
So everyone, this is a ginormous gift we're getting from Ravina's question. I want you to gently hold your little one and go, "Oh, sweetheart, I am so sorry that you believed you were brought on this planet to make anyone else happy except for you. I'm so sorry that you believed that your value is connected to anything else except for you existing. Only look to me. I'm so happy that you're here. And you don't have to do anything to make me love you and want you." What happens when I invite your functional adult to say that to your wounded child?
She's resisting.
Yes. No, she's not resisting. I mean, she is kind of like, really? Right? Because your wounded child is used to this. Is mom and dad want me to do? Is this going to make them smile? Is this going to make them proud of me? Right? This is your wounded child. Teenagers like right behind you, like, don't listen to her. She doesn't know what the fuck she's talking about. Right? So you want to be like, oh, teenager, thank you so much. You are like powerhouse. You are like the dictator. You are like the quality control manager. You are the, I'm going to excuse my language on this, slave driver, right? We're in a capitalistic society. Built capitalism is based on chattel labor, chattel slavery, right? Free labor, right? Thank you so much for trying to whip this little one into shape. Because of you, we have done all these different things and achieved so many things. And then very like functional adulty, how's that working out for you? Right? So, sweetheart, teenager, it makes total sense that you're high anxiety and panic around this little one, thinking that she's the bee's knees. It's okay. You are too. But I need you only look to me for your value. No external measure, no bank account number, no pride or proud face on anybody else. Okay? Nothing. And I know you're going to want to jump and do like a marathon. Fantastic. We'll look for the data that comes from that, right? Because there are no mistakes. I love your tenacity, right? And I am here now, functional adult, trying to be who we really are. And so I need you to stop filling up our time with anxiety so that I can look at nothing is not nothing. It is intensely something. And that intensely something is me. What happens in your body?
It's like
It's fine.
portions on the inside.
Yes, that's good because it's wrestling. What? Then who the hell am I if I'm not this? Okay. Very important part of this process, Ramina. It's like the stage in the cocoon where the caterpillar turns into mush. It is not pleasant by any stretch and very, very important. Okay. Thank you so much. So in between each mini coaching, I invite people to take a sip or a bite of something. What this is a palate cleanser. Okay, our society pushes us. Next one, next one. Where's my time? Have the right? So in this time together, we are actively practicing settling our nervous system so we can stop reacting. Natalie said that was very helpful and resonates a lot. Same. Okay, so as you orient, see your body connected to the room. Notice if you have a question. And if you're shy, you can put it in the chat, publicly or privately, and I can read it. Okay. So I've told people before too, and please don't let me talking stop you from raising your hand or unmuting yourself. Okay. Every single group, everyone who comes together is here for a reason. We just don't know until the end. Okay. So Ravina started us off. I don't have a job. Okay. So I want you to just notice if there's something, you have something to look at. Don't be shy. I want you to raise your hand if you're also in transition with work, right? Don't have a job, trying to figure out what's next. Okay. Oh, 1, 2-ish, 3, 4 out of 5. That's the majority here. Okay. We're in good company. Christina.
I just wanted to comment to Ravina that I had a moment. I don't do this all the time. It is helpful to do it. But I was looking at my calendar and the tasks that I have laid out for myself today and trying to prioritize and generally losing time and organizing instead of doing. But so I'm slotting things in the calendar and I kept stacking them like Legos with no space in between. And I realized that I was going to burn myself out doing that. I don't know if this is similar. So I had this moment of, I have to do more, I have to do more, and then really fighting against. I think you should really put in a blank there. Because if I don't put in a blank there, you know that what you're going to wind up doing is getting on the sofa and scrolling just for 10 minutes. And then a whole half an hour or more will go by because I didn't acknowledge that I'm just not a machine. Um, and then had that whole conversation with myself and then struggled with, but I will not have accomplished the list that I created for myself, which is impossible to accomplish in 1 week, let alone one day. Um, it's just, it's just a constant conversation. It's just a constant conversation was my moment, if that helps at all.
I am not a machine. So let's do this zooming out. Okay. So capitalism was built on chattel slavery. Okay. How do we earn all this on free labor, right? And so what happened was the other stuff started kind of being created around that, right? Like school systems. We're going to produce factory workers that learn how to like go with the flow and produce a thing and just check the right boxes, right? And anyone else is bad, right? And so it's understanding that viewing ourselves as machines is intentional, okay? That there was a system set up to look at producers versus the elite, okay? And so it was like producer, elite, laborer, manager. It's not really the manager, it's the landowner, right? The manager is the middle person that's like thinks that they're closer to the landowner than they actually are, right? And so it's reminding, I am a human being and I don't have to do anything to have a right to be here and be provided the things that I need, right? But because of trauma decontextualized so many generations, we think we have to earn our birthright: healthcare, housing, nutritious food, clean water, right? We have to earn it. But that's not the case. Okay? So this was trauma decontextualized from the Europeans who came and colonized because they were mistreated in their land of origin generations back. So they replicated that trauma on different lands and on different indigenous bodies and then normalized it. Okay? So just notice what happens to your body. Anyone feel tired after I talked about that? Or energized? I want to just kind of see, like, 0 is like super tired. 5 is like energized and ready to go. 0 to 5. Tell me your numbers, everybody. 0 to 5. 2, 1. Okay, so less energy, less energy. Okay, less energy. 3 is like the same, not impacted. Okay, 5 is like ready to go. Okay, so here, so let's name what is happening to the body when I contextualize things, right? Sometimes people are like, why are you victimizing, or why are you using that lens, right? It's so demotivating kind of thing. And I'm like, oh, because, okay, so let me put context around it, right? When we see where this trauma comes from, it's not that we need to like go back and like repair the trauma, right? It's going, oh, that means I'm human. And you start from now going forward. Okay? You don't have to continue carrying all this baggage. What I'm doing by saying this is the context from which we all come means I can go, oh, I don't have to carry that anymore. And I don't have to carry that anymore. And I don't have to carry that anymore. The old way of therapy is let's go back and let's look through. What I'm telling you is you don't got to look anymore. What I'm saying is just remember, human being. I'm not a robot. I'm not a producer. And then if there's a, but I don't know what to do, the response, that's okay. You don't have to know what to do. And everything's going to be okay. Because the new way of orienting your body to this space is in abundance, is in the knowing that I am grounded to this land, connected to my source, and I don't have to move or do anything to belong. Now I want to see your numbers. And they could be worse. That's okay. It's data. Okay? 0, 5. And remember, this is not a measuring stick. This is data gathering. So Tiffany moved from 1 to 3. Okay, good. Ravina stayed the same. Christina stayed the same. Good. Okay? Same. So zooming out, I don't have a goal to move you to 5. Who said 5 was ever the goal? For me, the goal, tracking yourself. How am I doing? 3? Okay. Same? Okay. I'm still here with you. I'm not going to throw you away. I'm not going to judge you. We're right where we're supposed to be. So I'm going to give you context. My adaptive teenager is like, no one's talking. What does that mean? And I'm like, it's okay. But maybe we should look on Instagram. Something. Okay, someone has something to share. As I regulate my little one's like, you're so funny. This is such a nice parallel process. Okay, I have something to share. I'm in Poland for a month visiting family and not working for money. During a career transition, Ravina, I'm also trying to do nothing and finding it hard and signing up for a lot of lessons of different things, filling my schedule. I'm struggling because people keep asking what I do for work. I still don't know how to communicate that I'm in a career transition. Plus, it's a bit harder in Polish for me versus English. Also, before I left, my mom told me not to tell anyone in our family that I left my job because they will judge me. So that made me even more insecure about it. I've just been acting like I'm in my previous job, but it feels sad and inauthentic. Beautiful. Okay. So, first off, thank you for sharing that. Just going to get us oriented. Okay. So, this is healed boundaries. Everyone's the same, whether you have a job or not. Okay. Whether you tell the truth or not. Okay. But your mom was like, don't tell anyone in the family. Whose anxiety or who's driving your mom's bus, do you think?
It's probably her teenager who wants to be perfect and have the perfect kids.
Yes. Okay. And so it's reminding, so you're in charge of your boundary, Natalie. Okay. And so if your teenager, little one, and tween are like, mom wants to feel perfect and loved, you go, oh, only look to me, right? I'm in charge, regulating, right? And mom has access, whether she knows it or not, to her functional adult. All I need to know is it's not about me. And my job is not to please her or soothe her. It might have been when I was little, but it's not anymore because my functional adult is intentionally trying to drive the bus. Okay. Where do you feel this when someone asks you, what do you do for work? Natalie, where do you feel it in your body?
It's like in my chest. It's like a panic.
Oh, Ravina and you, similar.
Yeah.
Okay, chest. Put your hand on your chest. And anyone else on the call, put your hand wherever you feel this thing coming. Okay. What do you do for work? What's the emotion, Natalie?
Guilt and shame over not working. I think it's very simple. That's what I said. What Ravina said really resonated with me because I think it's all very similar.
Right. Guilt and shame. Shame is there's something wrong with me. Guilt is I'm doing something that someone doesn't want me to do. Does that resonate for you, Natalie, the difference?
It does, and I think both are true.
Okay. Who's driving?
There's something wrong. Like the shame is probably the wounded child, and the guilt is the teenager, I think.
I'm going to do this. In case your teenager wants a gold star. Gold star! Okay. Yes. Wounded child is going to always think there's something wrong with them. Teenagers going to struggle with, do I align with myself or someone else? Do I please myself or someone else? Okay. And so it's reminding your little one, there is nothing wrong with you, sweetheart. I'm so sorry you believed that for so long. You absorbed everything around you and personalized it, and I need you to stop doing that. Only look to me, honey, for your value. It's not contingent on anything. I love you no matter what. Go ahead.
I think where I struggle with this is because this concept I feel like we've like talked about before where in general this is hard, and I just think what made it harder is my mom telling me not to tell anyone, and it just further complicated it because in theory I know what to tell my little ones, but it feels like I can't defy my mom on this.
Mhm.
So then like my functional adult is being a hypocrite to the little ones is almost like what it.
Oh, so here's an interesting thing. Functional adult is a hypocrite if they say, "Oh, I'm doing this thing." Because lying is not a functional adult thing to do.
Well, I don't know, it feels wrong. I don't like it.
Okay, good. Okay, so there's judgment. Functional adults don't judge.
Okay.
They assess. Okay? So there's a boundary I teach people. It's called the wall of pleasant. Okay? You activate your wall of pleasant when you know the other person is not going to take in what you're going to say, right? They're just going to keep criticizing you or telling you your weight's off or whatever. And like the goal of having a wall of pleasant is I am protecting my peace and sanity, and I am not engaging in this potential argument, right? Because what you think about me, nothing to do with me and everything to do with you, okay? So when I would work with folks who were transracially adopted, and strangers would go up to them and say, "Is that your mom? Is that your mom? Where did you get your kid?" Basically, right? And I told the transracial adoptee, I'm like, you don't have to answer anything. Just because someone asks you a question does that not mean they have a right to your truth, right?
Right.
So I was like, make up stuff, have fun, right? Because you know they don't have a right to your information, okay? So part of this is about understanding you have control over which battle you want to fight. It's also not completely inaccurate that you're not working at the same place, right? Because you're still producing something there.
Right.
And it's also very true, like, who the heck cares? They're just trying to say, "Hi, how's it going?" Right? And you can say when they're like, "What do you do for work?" "Oh, I'm on holiday and I'd really like to not talk about work. What are some fun things to do here?" Right? Or if you're Polish is limited, like, "What's your favorite restaurant I should try?" "I don't want to talk about work." Right? So it's understanding you are not a little child who has to say hi to the stranger, smile, right? Do you remember that? When we would go, and the parent would be like, "Don't forget to say thank you."
Yeah.
You are not that child anymore. And you have control on what you want to say or not. My suggestion is you figure out for your functional adult if you want to challenge your mom around this thing or not. It's not going to be a hypocrite move if you're like, "Okay, I won't tell anyone." And you get to decide, right? If you want to practice your nervous system regulation when you do something that's going to upset your mom, or if you want to prioritize having a good time there, right? Does that make
Right.
sense?
It does.
What's
It
happening
does.
in your body now?
I definitely feel like calmer about it because the way that I have been trying to convince myself that it's okay is because, yeah, I'm like still kind of freelancing for them. So it's not a full lie. But then there's just still a part of me that wants to be more authentic because I think back in the US, I've gotten more used to like explaining to people, "Hi, I'm like on an exploration journey, blah, blah, blah." And like, I can say that here. It's just sometimes I like use the wrong words and I just worry that because like my Polish is probably at like a middle school, high school level, not like a anything higher than that, that I'm not going to be able to articulate myself in the same way. So I theoretically would maybe want to defy my mom in this, but then I just don't think that it's like practical or worth the effort.
Right. Because then what happens is because you're not able to explain, this is a story makeup, see if it lands. Because you're not able to explain it in the nuance that you're used to because your Polish is limited, your little one goes, oh, I suck at Polish and they're going to judge. And then, it turns into something completely different. Like I'm incompetent because I can't communicate to the level that I should within my native tongue.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? It's just, so you can say, I work for myself. Or like Tiffany said, I work at a computer.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
I
That
was
makes sense.
talking to another coach and I was just explaining like your body is your business, right? If we want to hack this so it'll work for us, imagine yourself, your body is your boss. Do you know why you want to hack this? Because most people treat their bosses way better than their bodies. Okay? So hack it and just be like, oh, my body is my boss. I work for myself.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's true. I work for myself. And if that means I go work at a company that pays me, great, success. If that means I'm in transition, success, because I'm working for me. Does that make sense?
That does. It does. I think I was having trouble like squaring the like not being completely able to articulate that with being a functional adult. And I guess you both can be true.
Yes.
So it's
And if you're struggling with perfection, who's driving?
the teen.
Yes. Say thank
Yeah.
you so much for trying to get this exactly right. It's kind of ruining our time here.
Yeah.
Do you want to use your time for this? I mean, you can, right? Like the functional adult's my functional adult's pretty funny, right? And I know there's a humorous side of you. So maybe you could use it for material,
Yeah.
right?
Perfect.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense.
Hack it. Okay. Good. Thank you so much. It was like a deepening of what Ravina brought up.
Yeah, thank you. And thank you, Ravina, for sharing yours and the inspiration to share.
Yeah, Ravina's like, oh, else is just like me. Yes. We are more similar than we realize. Okay. All right, take a sip. Need a blueberry. Is someone who hasn't shared or have something that they'd like to look at or be seen around?
I have something quick, and if you don't mind.
I don't mind. Tell your little
And
ones.
right. I apologize. I'm on my cell phone and I've been struggling to like participate this entire time. Like, me too. So I voted me too the entire time, by the way. Okay. So, and thank you to everyone who shared so far. I feel like it all resonates, and I want to say to keep it brief, the way that I responded to your advice just now, um,
Which one?
uh, to the last person, is it Natalie?
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
it's like, no, Judy,
Who's that?
that's not good enough. Um, like, oh, you don't have to say anything. It's like, duh. Anyway, that's separate. I have my own issues. That's actually not what I wanted to say. But I did want to note that some part of me, maybe my team, was just like, that's not a good answer.
So let's take the question mark out and just put a period or an exclamation point. That was your teenager.
Yes, that was.
Mhm.
Yes, because the answer was like a hack. um
How
and
interesting.
I wanted the perfect response, so but the thing that I wanted to highlight, I guess, is just the angst. I'm actually on an upswing. Like I'm feeling it's been a rough year. I'm sort of coming out of a lot of grief, and still sort of waiting in it, but
Mhm.
also getting a second wind. And there is a an angst about like cash flow. I think I've mastered I do it all. If somebody asks me what do I do, what do I do? So I do it all and then I move on. And then
Mhm.
that's it. But that's
Mhm.
my answer.
Mhm.
And if they want more specifics, I'll try or whatever. But like I do the most, or is another answer.
Where's the
Um,
angst?
the angst is in my chest. Ding ding ding. Reefer. Yeah.
Good.
The angst is in my chest. It's also, I guess, if I tap in, it's like on the right side of my body mostly.
Mhm.
Yeah, like the right side of my heart.
Mhm.
I'm not sure if this is like mental, but it feels like it moves up, like it's moving up into my throat, into my head, kind of like a
Mhm.
wave, like I don't know, like an elevator.
Mhm. And does it keep going or does it get stopped?
Uh, I don't know. I'm not sure. I imagine it stops, but I could be now just mentally making this up.
Mhm. So it stops in
I'm
your
not
head.
sure if it's tracking. Yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
maybe. Yeah.
Mhm. So what's the emotion though? So the movement keeps from the right side up and then it gets blocked.
Yeah. Um, I don't think this is an emotion, but the word that comes to mind is there's a little bit of panic. Like, oh, you're confident and you're optimistic, and where's the money at?
Mhm.
So, I am doing a lot of things, and that's positive, but it hasn't necessarily equated into cash flow. And so now the question becomes, are these lots of things really the adult thing to do, or should you just bring yourself to apply someplace and get, hold yourself down while you know,
Mhm.
do all these different things? And then okay, so then that becomes worry and angst and fear because I have so much to do that
Mhm.
being responsible and like checking in at a formal place feels scary, but
Mhm.
also feels like a way out, like
Yes. So
of
pause.
mhm.
Okay. Notice what's happening in your body.
Yeah, I'm working myself up.
Yes. Is it so good, right? Because sometimes when we're exhausted, we need to work ourselves up to like do something,
Yeah. Okay.
right? So what do
Yeah.
I mean? I mean, we go back to like slave owners, right? When the enslaved people were like resting or just sitting down and like having a sip of water, they would be on the
Mhm.
horse like, what are you doing? You're blah, blah, blah. And so it's like getting the energy up to kind of keep moving, right? And so I want you to consider everyone on this call, if you amp yourself up as a hack to get the thing done. What do I mean? I mean, I'm wired differently, which is such crap. My wiring is ADHD, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, right? Which is basically like I look at everything, I'm focused on everything, right? I can't do something unless it's like this is the deadline, right? And then I get a burst of energy. I want you to consider if the way that you're thinking is a way of hacking into your body to create energy that you do not have. Okay, so that's one. That goes back to we can't hack it. What do you think
Mm,
the billionaires have fucking done the
mm,
entire freaking time is they hacked this system and we're like supposed to be like honest and hardworking and everyone will get it based on merit. Crap. Okay? Stop playing by the rules that were never meant to serve us. Use question marks when you're looking at why do I believe the thing that I believe? Okay? So now going back to what you were asking, does this mean I need to get a job? I want to zoom out and go, what's the angst about? What I hear, and just test it out in your body, is, do I have enough to be able to survive? So the question is less cash flow. I would look at what are you needing? Look at where the money's going. Assess, do I need these things where the money is going? What can I take off to prioritize my rest in my recovery from all the shit I've had to endure? And get to the basics of, what do I need to sustain my body so that I can protect my spirit? Okay. What we don't realize as a collective, we don't need 75, 85% of the shit we consume. You know why this planet's at the brink? Because we keep refusing to tolerate our discomfort. It's hot. I'm going to turn on the air conditioning. Then I have to pay for that bill. And then I have to blah, blah, blah. And then maybe I should, you know what I mean? So it's my suggestion, Sandrine, is your functional adult might be wanting you to look at that first and then figure out the cash flow that you actually need. Okay? Because part of this might be not made up, right? But you might have more than you actually think you do. Does that make sense?
Oh, what am I looking at first? I apologize. I
What
think
you're
I
spending your money on and if you need it.
Yeah. Yes.
Right? So what we've been taught is, how do we bring in the cash flow instead of looking at the budget? Okay, this is my last thing before I offer a time for cleanups and shout outs. I invested in this group to understand finance, right? And like stocks and stuff. So these are people who are like working to be millionaires. Okay, so the coach is like around all these billionaires, right? And so she was like at a function and she's like, I'm okay with being taxed, right? Like, so totally, I've got so much. And she said the billionaire's response was, but if they tax the billionaires, it would only last like 6 months. And so she repeated this to the group and see like, so that's not the solution. And my functional adult was like, can we just pause for a second? If we're spending so much money that if we tax the billionaires, we would blow through that in 6 months, I think this is a cash flow issue. It's a budgeting issue. It's a what are the priorities issue. Okay? Cash flow issue is how to distract everyone who's miserable to keep producing for the people who are the most comfortable. Okay? The majority of the people are not living their lives. When I say global majority, okay, they do not have enough because a very small group of people are prioritizing their comfort over everyone else's survival. Do not play into that. I mean, you can, and I'll love you no matter what, but I'm just saying. Well, it's kind of funny. But I'm saying it'll be a lot easier if we don't play into that, okay? Rufina's like, oh, I know.
Wait, can you repeat that line? You said very few people are prioritizing their what over what?
Their comfort,
Oh,
their luxury over everyone else's survival. When I call billionaires in, I'm not like trying to shame them. I'm trying to guilt them, okay? There's nothing wrong with them. There is something seriously wrong with their belief system, okay? I'm calling them in to hold them accountable for the harm that they continue to do, okay? Does that make sense? So now, connect to your body. We don't got to do anything to the billionaires. We just got to like focus on, what do we actually need Okay? In each of our lives, as we are right now, what do we actually need so we don't sell ourselves to have to work in a system that's not meant to provide for us, right? So we have to, I mean, we don't have to. My suggestion is start figuring out what we actually need. Okay? So now this is the time for cleanups and shout outs. Cleanups is basically if I said anything, just me, nobody else, that like rubbed you the wrong way. It's an opportunity for me to hold myself accountable because that's not something that is modeled in our society ever. Okay. Shout outs are like, this is the thing that I want to like take with me, or like appreciation.
I think mine's a mix of both. I don't really know which falls where.
No worries.
I'm still, I completely agree. Because I'm still stuck on when Natalie brought up the point about feeling sad and inauthentic, like the aspect of hacking it and just saying something. My body's feeling so resistant to that because my brain is screaming, but I just want to be honest
Mhm.
and be able to just like say what I want to say and be like just own and own the truth, be transparent, etc. And I'm like feeling a deep resistance to the hack.
Mhm.
I second that. Like I
Yeah.
get it logically, but I also feel like my body is resisting it.
Yeah.
Mhm. This is wonderful. And so thank you for letting me know how it landed in your body. I'm really excited that it did. And I'm sorry, that it didn't land, right? So if it doesn't work for you, can leave it. But I really appreciate that you said, the authenticity is like really hard for you to hold. The desire and then the me saying like, it's okay, right? The story I make up or I wonder is if generationally there might have been ancestors
Mhm.
who were complicit or sided with the oppressors to survive.
Wait, I don't get it. Sorry. That's
Okay,
all.
I'm going to use myself as an example, okay? So I come from Chinese American, or I'm Chinese American. My ancestors are from China. During the Cultural Revolution, there was a split of communists versus like not. I mean, and there were lots of factions, but the communists basically won, okay? And so what that meant was some of the people who wanted to survive had to side, lie, be inauthentic in order to survive. I cannot shut my mouth and be inauthentic around patriarchy, capitalism, and supremacy because the epigenetics in me, I need to speak truth to power in order to alchemize the betrayals and the murders that happened in my lineage. So as things progress in our political system in the US, right? I'm like very outspoken about Palestine. I'm very outspoken about certain things. And there's part of me that's like, Judy, you should take that off of social media. And the functional adult part of me is like, no, this is a way forward to alchemize all the betrayals that happened in our family in order to survive so that the oppression doesn't keep continuing because I'm just focusing on me and surviving. So the resistance to being inauthentic might be connected to something historically, is what I'm trying to say. For each of you, right? So Ravina, your family of origin is from another. And for Natalie, your family of origin is from another. Both colonized in the sense of like war, right? One is socialism for the people, right? But then got the money got misused, right? Ravina, yours is from colonialism, right? So I just want to put that possibility, this huge resistance to it, might be a breadcrumb. So that answer took longer. I'm like, oh my gosh, for people who needed to leave for meeting, I know some of them left, Tiffany. So so this is the thing that happens every time is to close this time together. We just, if anyone wants to like turn on their videos, and what we're doing is we're just imagining getting exactly what we need. Rest, affirmation, unconditional love, energy, you know. So we're imagining because our brains don't know the difference between what's imagined and what's real. So we might as well hack it and imagine getting the exact thing that we're needing, right? And then putting in there, leaving in this space anything we don't want, so that when I close out the call, it just disappears, okay? So it's reminding us that each of us are important and that we're connected to everyone else. Thank you so much.